There exists a form of discipline so absolute, so unwavering, that it doesn't just change what you do. It transforms who you are at the deepest level. Most men spend their entire lives negotiating with themselves. Tomorrow I'll start. Next Monday will be different. This time it'll work. But there's a small group of individuals who've discovered something that makes them appear almost inhuman to others. They don't negotiate. They don't hesitate. They simply execute, day after day, without fail. What you're about to discover isn't a productivity hack or a motivation trick. It's an ancient warrior system that's been hidden in plain sight for over 8 centuries. Once you understand its mechanics, once you see how it rewires the architecture of your mind, you'll never approach commitment the same way again. But I need to warn you. This path demands a price most men aren't willing to pay. It requires you to execute a part of yourself you've known your entire life. The part that negotiates, that makes excuses, that promises tomorrow will be different. Are you ready to kill that part of yourself? Let me tell you about Marcus. Software engineer, sharp mind, decent income. On paper, his life looked solid. But Marcus carried a secret shame that aided him every single day. He was a man who couldn't finish what he started. He'd join a martial arts dojo, train hard for 6 weeks, then disappear. He'd commit to waking early, last maybe 10 days, then slide back into old patterns. He'd buy books on discipline, read the first chapter, and let them collect dust. The cycle was predictable and brutal. Monday morning, pure fire, ready to conquer the world. Tuesday, slight hesitation, but still moving forward. Thursday, the first whisper of doubt. Saturday, complete collapse. Sunday night, shame, guilt, and new promises about next week. Marcus tried everything modern psychology offered. He read about dopamine, neural pathways, and behavior modification. Nothing stuck. Until one winter evening, researching ancient Japanese philosophy, he stumbled upon a concept that changed everything. A practice so simple it seemed almost stupid, yet so powerful that warrior monks had used it to maintain unbroken discipline for over 800 years. They called it Gyogi, continuous practice without interruption, without a single gap. And when Marcus truly understood what that meant, when he grasped the full implications of that single principle, everything shifted. In the mountains of Japan, there stands a Zen temple that's been operating since the year 1184. That's 841 years of continuous practice. Every morning at exactly 4 o'clock, a bell sounds through the darkness. And every morning, without exception, the monks rise. Not at 3:55. Not at 4:05. At 4 o'clock exactly. Here's what never happens in that temple. No monk lies in the darkness thinking, maybe today I'll skip morning meditation. I didn't sleep well. I deserve rest. That internal conversation simply doesn't exist. It's been eliminated from their mental architecture entirely. Why? Because these monks understand something about the human brain that modern science is only beginning to confirm. Your mind categorizes every single commitment you make into one of 2 categories: negotiable or non-negotiable. Negotiable commitments live in a state of constant debate. Every morning becomes a fresh negotiation. Should I? Can I skip today? What if I do it later? This internal argument burns enormous amounts of mental energy before you even begin the actual practice. Non-negotiable commitments bypass that entire system. They simply happen. Like breathing. Like your heartbeat. There's no internal committee meeting to discuss whether your heart should beat today. A neuroscientist at Stanford who spent 17 years studying habit formation discovered something revolutionary. When you make a behavior publicly visible, your primitive brain interprets failure as a threat to your social survival. Deep in your evolutionary wiring, being cast out from the tribe meant death. Your brain still operates on that ancient programming. This is the first principle Marcus implemented. He stopped making private promises that died in darkness. He made a public declaration that would live or die in the light. Marcus took a piece of paper and wrote these exact words: I am a man who trains his body and mind for 30 minutes every morning at 5 a.m. for 100 consecutive days, without exception. He signed it. He dated it. Then he photographed it and posted it across every social media platform he used. He sent it to his closest friends. He told his brother, his father, his girlfriend. His girlfriend laughed. "This is a bit dramatic, don't you think? It's just exercise." His brother shook his head. "You're setting yourself up for public failure." Perfect. Every person who doubted him became fuel. Every skeptical look became ammunition. Because Marcus understood something they didn't. The pain of public failure had to be greater than the pain of showing up. Day 1 was easy. Adrenaline and excitement carried him through. Day 2, still riding momentum. Day 3, 4 in the morning, alarm screaming, body heavy. This was the first real test. His mind immediately began its familiar routine. You're exhausted. This isn't sustainable. One missed day won't matter. You can restart tomorrow. But then a new thought cut through the noise. A thought that had never existed before his public declaration. If I quit on day 3, I have to look everyone in the face and admit I'm just another man who can't deliver on his word. The public declaration had shifted the equation. Giving up was now more uncomfortable than continuing. But Marcus was still fighting a battle every single morning. The declaration ended the negotiation about whether to practice, but his mind found new ground to negotiate. Should I do it now or after breakfast? Morning or evening? Before work or after? Every single day, he was burning mental energy on this decision. Energy that should have been used for the actual practice. This is where the second principle of Gyogi revealed itself. The practice must occur at the same time, every single day, without variation. Marcus chose 5 in the morning. Not because he was a morning person. Not because he enjoyed watching the sunrise. He chose 5 a.m. because the world was asleep. No messages, no emergencies, no distractions, no excuses. The first week was war. His body rebelled against the new pattern. This is normal. Your body is a pattern recognition system, and you're forcing it to build a new pattern from scratch. It resists with everything it has. Second week, something subtle shifted. Marcus started waking up 3 minutes before his alarm. His body was beginning to anticipate what was coming. This is what most men don't understand about fixed timing. When the time is fixed, absolute, non-negotiable, your brain stops arguing with a constant. But Marcus discovered yet another problem. His schedule was fixed, but he kept changing what he did during that time. Some mornings felt right for running. Other days, bodyweight exercises seemed better. Sometimes he meditated longer, sometimes less. His brain had found a new crack in the system. He'd eliminated the negotiation about when, but not about what. And this is where the teaching gets controversial. Because the third principle requires you to do exactly the same thing, in exactly the same sequence, every single day, until your mind completely surrenders and stops questioning. Every time you change what you're doing, your brain has to think and make micro-decisions. Each small decision is a crack where your old patterns leak back in. Then, Marcus locked everything down completely, every morning, same sequence. 5 push-ups to wake the body. 5 minutes of breathing exercises to center the mind. 20 minutes of martial arts forms, the same kata, in the same order. 5 minutes of seated meditation. Same sequence. Same duration. Same movements. For 100 days straight. Week 4, something broke. Not his discipline. His resistance. The voice of negotiation grew quieter. By week 7, he was halfway through his push-ups before he even realized he'd started. The practice was executing itself. This is what people don't understand about consistency. It's not about willpower lasting forever. That's impossible. The goal is repetition until willpower is no longer required. But then life threw Marcus its inevitable chaos. Day 37, he caught a severe cold. Day 42, he had to fly across the country for work. Day 51, his father ended up in the hospital. This is where the old pattern would have kicked in. Sick day equals rest day. Travel equals exception. Emergency equals justified gap. This is where he'd quit before. Where everyone quits. Because we tell ourselves that perfect practice requires perfect conditions. And perfect conditions don't exist. Life is chaos. Chaos is the only constant. But there's an ancient teaching that changes everything about how you handle disruption. In the early 1600s, there lived a ronin named Miyamoto Musashi. By age 30, he'd fought over 60 duels to the death and never lost once. Not once. But Musashi wasn't just a warrior. He was a philosopher who understood something profound about practice and perfection. Late in his life, living alone in a cave, he wrote a text called the Dakoto, The Way of Walking Alone. In it he wrote, "Do not let yourself be sidetracked by worldly affairs. Do not regret what you have done." But there's a deeper teaching that most people miss. Musashi understood that the way of the warrior isn't about perfect execution. It's about relentless continuation. He wrote about this in his famous book of 5 Rings. The primary thing when you take a sword in your hands is your intention to cut the enemy, whatever the means. What does this mean for practice? It means that every action, no matter how small, must move toward the target. When you're sick, when conditions are terrible, when life is chaos, the practice doesn't demand perfection. It demands continuation. The moment you create a gap, you're no longer practicing. You're someone who used to practice. And the journey back from used to is 10 times harder than continuing through difficulty. This is Gyogi. This is the practice that perpetuates itself. Once the momentum is established, once the gap is sealed, the practice becomes easier to continue than to stop. Every time an unexpected obstacle appears, you have to make a decision under stress. And in that moment of chaos, you'll always choose the path of least resistance. The obstacle wins because you're fighting a battle you didn't prepare for. Marcus sat down and wrote out every obstacle that had ever broken his consistency, every excuse he'd ever used. Then he pre-solved each one. Rain. Practice in the garage. Sick. 5 reps, 2 minutes meditation. Maintain the sequence. Travel. Hotel room practice. Simplified version. Guest in the house. Practice in the bathroom before anyone wakes. Injured. Practice what can move. Maintain the time. Emergency. 10-minute minimum. Maintain the sequence. Each scenario had its predetermined response. When X happens, I do Y. No thinking. No negotiating. Just execution. The power isn't just maintaining the practice. It's that you stop wasting mental energy on decisions. Your brain knows that no matter what tomorrow brings, the practice continues. This certainty changes your entire nervous system. Stress decreases. Confidence builds. Because you've already won tomorrow's battle. You fought it today on paper, when you were calm and clear. A behavioral scientist at Princeton who studies decision-making under pressure found that when you pre-decide your actions, you remove decision fatigue from the critical moment. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for willpower, remains intact to execute rather than debate. Day 70. Marcus's practice had become completely automatic. Some mornings he'd finish his sequence and not even remember starting. His body simply moved through the forms like a programmed machine. His girlfriend's family visited for 10 days. He practiced in the bathroom at 5 a.m., silent as a shadow. They never even knew. His brother got married. Wedding weekend, late nights, celebration. 5 a.m. came. Bathroom floor. 5 push-ups. 2 minutes of breath. 1 slow form. The practice continued. Day 95. 5 days from completion. His boss scheduled an emergency 4 a.m. flight. Marcus woke at 3 a.m. Practiced in the hotel room at 2:30. Caught his flight. The practice continued. Day 100 arrived on a Tuesday morning. Marcus completed his sequence, same as every other day. No celebration. No announcement. Just continuation. Because the practice wasn't about reaching 100 days. It was about becoming someone for whom practice isn't a choice. It's an identity. Something had changed in Marcus that wasn't visible in any mirror. His co-workers noticed it first. They said he moved differently, spoke differently. There was a certainty in him that wasn't there before. His brother said, "You've become kind of intense, man. It's almost uncomfortable to be around." His girlfriend said, "Your discipline is honestly a little scary now. It's like you're not the same person." Perfect. Because when your consistency makes others uncomfortable, you're finally operating at the right level. Your existence proves that everything they say is impossible is actually just uncomfortable. That's why they'll call you obsessive. That's why they'll say you need balance. They need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. Consistency isn't about doing something every day. It's about becoming someone who can't not do it. Someone whose identity is so fused with the practice that stopping would feel like cutting off your own arm. You're not just creating a habit. You're reshaping your identity at the neurological level. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who simply is. And when that transformation is complete, when people look at you and think, how does he never break? The answer is simple. He doesn't maintain it. He is it. The question that remains is this. Are you ready for this level of transformation? Because this isn't about discipline. Not really. It's about death and rebirth. The death of your inconsistent self. The birth of your unbreakable self. The Gyogi system won't make you a better person. It'll make you a different person. Someone others will look at and think, that's not normal. And when you hear those words, when someone says you become too intense, too rigid, too obsessive, you'll know you've finally arrived where you're supposed to be. Because the consistency that makes others uncomfortable is the only consistency worth having. Most men spend their entire lives in negotiation with themselves. Promising tomorrow. Making excuses today. Dying slowly in the gap between who they are and who they claim they want to be. You have a choice right now. You can close this and go back to that comfortable cycle of promise and failure. Or you can do what Marcus did. What the monks have done for 800 years. What Miyamoto Musashi did in every battle he fought. The path is here. The system is clear. The only question remaining is whether you're ready to walk it. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when conditions are perfect. But now. Are you ready?